Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Foliage. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So I won't be able to move this pot because this is a very heavy pot. Now I had got a plant from one of my friend. Now unfortunately when she sent it, it got damaged a lot, and because it was a gift I couldn't say much about it because you can see the upper leaves are completely damaged. They're not in a very good condition. There's a lot of dust. This is the only leaf that was quite good, but again that one also was damaged while sending it. Now nothing much I can do because it's a gift. You cannot complain about it. So probably she has given the uppermost nod, due to which the older leaves are still present on it, but that's absolutely fine. This is a very easy to grow plant. Now this is called as Monstera. I'll put the name on the screen. This is a variety of Monstera. It's a very easy to grow plant. It can be grown indoor as well as outdoor. Mostly a lot of people grow it indoor, but I prefer to grow it outdoor. You have to remember certain things when you're growing it outdoor, and that's what we are going to be talking in this video. Now you can see it's an absolutely beautiful foliage plant. Now recently, a long time back, this was a very common plant that you would find in every household. But around 2019 end 2000, it became a very popular house plant, and a lot of people were buying this plant because of its beautiful foliage plant. But it has been around for a very long time. But of late, a lot of people have become a big fan of this plant, and every other person or every other plant lover, you will find this plant with them because it's an extremely easy to grow plant. Now the leaves of this tends to grow almost 5 to 6 times bigger than what it is right now, because this is a very small plant. This was actually the top part of the nod that was cut and given to me, but it actually tends to grow very huge. It is an apophyte plant. So just like the previous plant that I spoke about yesterday, this one, that is the Rhaphidophora pertusa, the same thing, this also tends to grow onto other plants and other trees. You might have seen, if you have been to places wherein there are large trees, you might have seen this growing under them. They tend to vine. That's why I have used a pole stick, because they tend to latch onto it and start growing with the help of aerial roots. They also develop nodes. So talking about light, they do not require direct sunlight because, as I said, they are epiphytes in nature as well. They grow under the canopy of other trees. So ensure that you do not keep it in direct sunlight. Otherwise, the leaves will get burnt. You can see this over here. The leaves had got burnt because it was kept in direct sunlight. Even the tips, you can see they have started to get burnt. So ensure that it is kept in indirect bright light. It can even handle slightly lower light conditions. But if you have option of good bright, medium light, indirect light, then you can keep it over there. But it can still handle a good amount of light variations, even medium or low light as well. In low light conditions, the leaves will turn even more darker in color, because over here it receives a good amount of bright indirect light. So the leaves are slightly light green in color. So it tends to do quite well indoor as well as outdoor. Indoor, you can grow it closer to a windowsill, but if there is direct sunlight, then you'll have to use a curtain. But remember guys, if you are growing this indoor, do not keep it too close to the wall. Otherwise, the roots of this plant will attach onto the wall, and when you're trying to move the plant, it will peel out all the paint. So if you have painted your house recently, or if you have renovated your house recently, you do not want to put this too close to the wall. Otherwise, the roots will get attached and latched onto the wall, and it will be very difficult to take out those roots. It will damage the paint of your wall. So always use a pole, or if you're not using a pole, then keep it slightly away from the wall. Over here I have used a pole, so the roots will definitely not touch onto the wall. And talking about keeping it indoor, it will do quite well in average humidity as well. If there is good humidity, the plant will definitely love it. But if there is average humidity, it's absolutely fine. The plant will still do quite well. You do not need a humidifier, or you do not need a pebble tray method. Now talking about the air conditioning vent, do not keep it under the air conditioning vent or the heater, because the leaves will get damaged. So keep it away from the air conditioning vent. The soil remains the same. Actually, they are not very picky about the soil. You can even use your regular potting mix. You can even make an aeroid mix. Probably very soon I will make a video on it. It is basically a soilless media wherein you have charcoal, you have perlite, coco peat, you have coconut husk, all of those materials with which you make a soilless media in which there is no garden soil. But I prefer to use garden soil because it tends to work out really well, because when you have garden soil, you do not need to add fertilizers every now and then. But when you're making a mix that does not have soil, then you have to add a lot of fertilizers, because a soilless media does not have a lot of fertilizers in it. So regularly you have to fertilize them. So I do not want to get into that headache. That's the reason why I just use my regular soil mix which has garden soil, so I do not need to add fertilizers every now and then. So the soil has to be loose, porous and well draining. It shouldn't be soggy wet. When you feel that the upper layer of soil, or let's say 3 to 4 inches of the soil is dry, go ahead and water it, because they do not like to be sitting in dry soil for a very long time. So you have to maintain a very slight moisture, but do not keep the soil soggy wet. Apart from that, pests are not much of an issue. They usually do not get affected with pests, but it's always better to do a routine check. At times there might be spider mites or mealybugs, especially the white flies will be underneath, or mealybugs at the petiole. So you'll have to do a check probably once a week or once in 2 weeks. Usually it does not get affected. It's quite resilient towards mealybugs and other pests, but it's always better to do a routine check. Now temperature, yes, they do not like a very cold environment. They prefer a slight warm environment, and that's why they work really well in tropical environment, because these plants are native to a tropical environment. They belong to a very warm environment, so they prefer a climate that is slightly warm, around 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. But again, if it's kept indoor, it's not much of an issue. They will do well in room temperature as well. Now, talking about fertilizers, you can do it during the summer months. When it's warm, you can add a little bit of liquid fertilizer, probably once a month. They're not very fussy about fertilizers, but if you're going to do it once a month, it's absolutely fine. Now, talking about, is this plant toxic? Yes, this plant is toxic. So ensure that you keep it away from reach of small children and pets, so that they do not ingest the leaves. So guys, that's all about this beautiful plant Monstera. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep planting.